What is going on, guys? Welcome to Dead Walking Sunday. I'm joined with my boy, Walking Dead Mike.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How's everyone doing?
Oh, man. I think we are. Tonight's episode, Mike. Tonight's episode, which is called Heads Up. We're going to jump to non-spoilers, and then later on in this podcast, we'll jump to spoilers. But, Mike, overall, tonight's episode, what did you think of it? Was it better than last weekend? How did you feel overall with this episode?
I would definitely say it's better than the last few episodes. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this episode. Definitely.
I agree with you, man. I think this episode was definitely a step up. I think overall, my overall thoughts on this episode was there was a lot of interactions that were very interesting. There was a lot of revelations that happened in this episode. A lot of things where it's kind of hard. It's definitely kind of hard to go into this episode without spoiling it for everybody. But overall, like, how did you feel like the pacing and tone of everything was handled in this episode, Mike?
Pacing again, a little slow, but I felt like it was necessary for this episode with everything that was going on with all the different people. I felt like the pacing was definitely necessary. Still a little slow, but overall I really did enjoy this episode.
Yeah, there was a couple of conversations in this episode with certain characters where it did feel like it kind of slowed down a little bit. And, I mean, this is not an action-packed episode in my mind. I mean, it's definitely more of still getting to know about Alexandria and just the coexistence of Rick's people with Alexandria's people. So, Mike, I mean, who's out of all the characters, who would you say had the best episode or the best, kind of moment, or we really went towards like Rick? I mean, I think Rick had he did really well. Just seeing Rick and how he acted with everybody in Alexandria and how his goals in life, like who do you think really showcased in this episode, who really took over the spotlight?
I would have to say, believe it or not, surprisingly, Rosita a little bit. Also Carol. So I would have to say Rosita and Carol, which was definitely unexpected on Rosita's half.
Which is great, man. I mean, because she doesn't get that too much of screen time. And you want to, she's very pivotal, not pivotal, but she's in the comics, and I don't think she gets as much screen time in the comics as well. But, I mean, her character, we haven't had a lot with her character. We've had a couple conversations with, I think it was her and Sasha over the past episodes, but you're absolutely right, Mike. I mean, Rosita really, it was great to see a little bit of her in this episode.
Yeah, because as you said before, we really haven't been seeing a lot of her, and I like that they brought her for whatever amount of time they did in this episode. It shows that they're going to stretch her character out more than they did in the comics, which I do like that.
Mm-hmm. What was your expectations before heading into this episode? Like, were you pretty much, did you think that you were going to get a lot from this episode, or did you think like, okay, maybe this will be a slower episode moving on to the mid finale? If just overall, what did you feel like going into this episode?
Yeah, overall, like you said, it wasn't that action packed. Before, like a couple days ago, going into this episode, I would say I definitely expected a little bit more action. Because, as we know, next week is the mid-season finale. But it was a pretty big cliffhanger in the end of this episode, which was good. But yeah, I definitely expected a lot more action than we had in this episode.
Yeah, most definitely. And that cliffhanger it's I think a lot of people are definitely going to talk about this episode. I think in this episode too, we get a little spotlight on Carl. We get a little bit of spotlight. Would you say a little bit of foreshadowing with Carl?
Yes, I would definitely say foreshadowing. I'm going to wait for the spoilers part of this podcast to get into that.
Oh yeah. And you know what? When we talk spoilers, we're going to talk spoilers for the comic as well, because I feel definitely they're going the comic book it's following that path. It's not the same, but it's following that path. And I think this episode really established that fact that, hey, we know the comic book, we changed a lot of things from the comic book, but it feels like it's going the same path as the comic book. Would you agree on that, Mike?
Oh yes, definitely. I definitely have to agree with you there. It's definitely heading into that comic book area, and I'm very, very excited to see how they're gonna take that.
Okay, I mean it's this episode was definitely an episode that definitely we can't. It's hard to really talk about without really spoiling anything. So overall, before we head into the spoilers, because just what would you rate this episode out of? Especially where would you put it up there? Since we're almost there in the mid-season finale, do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale 1 to 10, 10 being highest, I'd give it about a 7, 7.5. What about you?
You know, I'm right there. I'm right there at a 7. I mean, there was things that really worked in here, but then there was, like you said, the slower moments, and then we're back to that kind of Walking Dead feel. Where like, okay, some of the stuff that they're doing, I'm not too interested in, and they're still trying to beat us over the head with the Alexandria characters, which you give them props for trying, but these Alexandria characters are just not as interesting as you would want them to be. Would you agree on that, Mike?
Yeah, I would agree. I think they're spending a nice amount of time, but still, I don't really see that they're that interesting. They could be much more interesting with the amount of time they're spending on these Alexandria characters. The only person I like from Alexandria is Denise and obviously Heath, because I really like Heath's character, and I love the way they're going with Heath's character in this TV series compared to the comic books. So I'm looking forward to finding more about Heath.
Yeah, and surprisingly, Heath is not really in this episode at all. So going into this episode, Heath is not really in it. And you're going to get that once in a while with the episodes like these. You're going to get some characters that are in there, like you said, like it goes with money budget-wise, and then it goes with it's just too big of a cast.
Yeah, we have well over 15 cast members. So I don't even think I remember seeing Heath in this episode, not even once. Did we see him?
I don't think we did. I'm pretty sure we did not.
I don't remember seeing him at all. No.
Okay, guys. So 7.5, Mike. 7.5 on this.
7.5 is a little generous. Yeah, 7.5. I'd say. Yeah.
I would say 7. Yeah, I would go. I'd be right there with you, Mike. I mean, I felt like it was a good episode, but of course, it just wasn't worthwhile until like certain parts in this episode definitely were like, oh my god, and there's still some things in this episode where I kind of have a bone to pick, and that's why we need to go to the spoiler discussion. So anybody who's watching, I want to warn you guys, if you haven't seen tonight's episode, please just come back later on. This will be up on my channel. We're going to go into spoiler territory because this episode really needs to be dissected and really be talked about in detail. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1, you've been warned. Mike, let the audience know just the major things that happened in this episode. What did we see in this episode that just, especially that opening? Tell the audience, buddy.
Well, that opening, we found out Glenn's alive, which most of us probably would have guessed that, but Glenn is alive, and we found out that he crawled underneath that dumpster, which was, wow, man, that must have been frightening. Under that dumpster it looks like he spent the whole night under there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he spent a couple days under there, huh? Because he was dehydrated. And then Enid, right?
Yep, that's her.
Yeah, Enid tossing him the bottle in this episode as well. Before we go even further, Mike, because everybody's going to be talking about this. Everybody knew that Glenn was probably alive. They broke it down like Glenn probably crawled underneath the dumpster. Like what everybody said came true. But did you like that? Were you on board with, okay, Glenn's alive, fine, this is how it happened. We all knew this was going to happen. But are you still kind of like, are you a little resentful a little bit, or just like, whatever?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. And yeah, I believe we spoke a little bit about this. I love Glenn as a character, and I just feel like it was a little unrealistic. Yeah, we know Nicholas fell on top of him, and they were eating Nicholas, but to survive that without a scratch or anything wrong with you, it's a little unrealistic to me. Like you said before, if that was any other character, they'd be long gone. Which would that's the only thing that really bothered me. But I'm glad they showed him crawling under the dumpster and try to explain how he survived that. But still, in my eyes, I think it's a little unrealistic. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I'll tell you how I'll tell you, Mike, how Glenn survived. I'll tell you how he survived. Right? He survived because of that mustache. It was the mustache that really persevered in that moment. But no, Mike. I mean, I knew Glenn was alive. We all, after thinking about it and seeing a lot of stuff from other people and everything, and then even breaking it down. Glenn's alive. I love the character Glenn, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to be happy with the result. I think it definitely is a cop out. I think just in any I think like I said in the last podcast, Mike, that any character in there. When I was watching this episode, I was like, yeah, you put Abraham in there, that dude's gone. That guy's dead. All right, you put him in that situation, he's done. But because it's Glenn, he's alive. And honestly, I don't like how they did that. I mean, if you're going to do something, pull the trigger and do it. But Glenn's alive. It is what it is. I mean, we already knew that was going to happen. So honestly, I mean, I'm a little bit like, come on, really? But hey, Glenn's alive, right? Does that mean we're going to be going down a path where he might meet a certain character?
I honestly think so. I honestly think we're definitely going down that path, and I see that happening in the season finale, without a doubt in my mind. I really think so.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it last podcast. Like, okay, the situation, because I predicted that Daryl was going to bite the dust because I just feel like Daryl's going to bite the dust on the hands of Negan. But it changes things when Glenn's alive. So, I mean, they could still go the Daryl route, but man, are fans going to be able to take it if they do go down that Negan route, Mike? Or just fans going to be just so like, oh my God, what the hell, man?
I think fans are going to be very heartbroken if it does go down that route, because now you see how he was reacting with Enid in this episode. I think they're gonna show a lot more Glenn now. That he is alive, and they're going to make us fall even more in love with that character before they take him right away from us in that season finale, which I think is going to happen. It might not happen, but I really think there's a very big possibility that that's what's going to happen. And before they do take Glenn away, if they do, they're going to make us fall even more in love with that character with a lot more screen time.
Yeah, man. I mean, and then especially now that we know that Glenn's going to be a papa.
Oh yeah.
It's funny when you talk about Enid in this episode. So how did you feel about because Enid did throw in the water bottle? Glenn's like, Enid, what are you doing holding up in here? Go to your home. Go home. Well, of course, she doesn't want to go home. How did you feel overall in this episode about those two? I mean, did you enjoy the interaction between those two? Because it's a little odd seeing Glenn interact with Enid when Enid was with Carl most of the time, and then now it's Glenn and Enid having this interaction. I felt like it was Glenn preparing to be a papa, like he was giving like fatherly advice to Enid throughout this episode. Would you feel the same way, Mike?
Oh yes, I was definitely getting those vibes. Like Glenn's trying to be like a father figure towards Enid. I guess you can say he's practicing for when child comes. But I liked Enid towards the beginning of this season, but in this episode, I just feel like she's just trying to run away from her problems, and you cannot run away from your problems. You can only run away to a certain extent, and she's just running away. And I hope she turns around and realizes that Glenn was looking out for her and only trying to do the right thing by her. And I don't know. I hope she steps it up. Which I definitely can see her character stepping up, without a doubt.
And Glenn was so stern towards her. He's like, "Oh no, you're coming with me." Like it was crazy seeing Glenn just be that strict with her. Just all of a sudden just with Enid when he doesn't. I don't think he's ever had an interaction with her through the whole time he was there.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen them talk on screen. Not once. Now that you say that, I don't think so. And I liked how she had the gun in his face, and as you said, yeah, he was very stern against her. He grabbed the gun right out of her hand, which was great. I like that.
I was waiting for him. I was waiting for him to go, Wah-cha! But it was so slow too when he grabbed that gun. Not so slow, but you could see it coming. It was definitely that was interesting. We all knew he was going to take away the gun from Enid. So, Mike, I do have a theory on Enid and Glenn's relationship. I think they put this together purposely. And hear me out, okay? Because I think this ties in with the comic book. And they are going to the path of the comic book. I think that Enid might be the new Sophia. What do you think?
Oh, since we don't have, yeah, we definitely don't have Sophia. She is long gone in the TV series, so.
Bye, Sophia. I miss you. Bye-bye.
She's definitely gone. But yeah, I would have to agree with you there. I can definitely see that happening. And you know what? I wouldn't mind that. That'd be pretty interesting to see that.
Because we do have a conversation with Enid and Glenn, and then Glenn says, "Where do you live? You know, who do you stay with?" And she says Olivia and stuff, but you know, she definitely has nowhere, doesn't have a home, doesn't have a family. Her family died, and this and that. So I feel like Glenn and Maggie will take her in and will raise her like a daughter. Well, she's already how big, like about Carl's age. So, but we'll take her in nevertheless and perceive her like, you know, a family member. So that's why I feel that she definitely is the kind of the new Sophia, and they have established that relationship with her and Carl and how tight they are. Hell, that's Carl's like girlfriend pretty much. And what did Carl have? A girlfriend in the comics, and her name was Sophia.
Yeah, wow. I was not thinking that until you mentioned that. Yeah, I can definitely see. Maybe they'll bunker down together in Alexandria, like Enid, Maggie, and Glenn. Now that I think of that, that makes a lot of sense, and I really like your theory. I like the way you're going with this. I can definitely see that happening. That'd be great.
Of course, that could all change if she dies.
Oh yeah.
So what we got in this episode 2 was dictatorship. I mean, Rick being a dictator a little bit. No, really, Rick establishing that we already know that he's the honcho. He's the guy, man. He's the jefe. He's jefe. He's the boss out of everybody. How did you feel about Rick in this episode, especially with him talking to Michonne, him with Tara? Because at one point, you know, he got pissed at Tara in this episode. How did you feel overall? What Rick? Oh, and Rick and Morgan. How did you just feel about Rick in this episode?
I definitely liked Rick a lot in this episode. I feel like he's definitely putting his foot down and letting everyone know that he is now like in charge, without a doubt. He's letting everyone know. He even, like you said, he even got a little nasty with Tara.
Yeah.
You can't blame Tara for doing what she did, but it was a little risky. She went over the wall, right? It looked like she was over the wall, leaning on one of the beams, shooting to try to save Spencer, that was kind of badass. I really liked the way they're going with Tara, and I don't know if you agree with me, but I did not see Tara lasting this long.
No, I did not. And, you know, yeah, we should talk a little bit about Tara because, you know, Tara, I do like Tara. I like this character that they introduced in this world. I mean, it's not from the comics at all. I don't think so, right? No, Mike, right?
No, she's not, no.
No. And I do. I like her. She definitely brings a little spunk to the group. She definitely is, you know, she's smart. She's a very smart woman. And I feel like Tara is very also, you don't want anything. You're attached to her. You worry for her. You don't want her to die. So I think they're doing a good job with Tara and her character. And, you know, I do feel like, yeah, Tara has really become one of those characters that, okay, I don't want to see you die yet, Tara. So please, you know, be okay.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I definitely want to see Tara develop more, even more than they're doing now. And I want her to last a long time. And back to Rick and Morgan. Rick let Morgan know that he almost died because of Morgan. he found out that Carol told Rick. Carol also told Rick that Morgan probably let those wolves out, and and Rick put two and two together, and he's like, wow, if Morgan would have killed these people, I wouldn't have been in that mess that I was in that RV. So Rick, I think Morgan is not on Rick's good side right now.
No,
Kind of looked like he was gonna banish him a little. Morgan was like, what do you don't think I belong here? You know, which got me a little nervous. I don't think Rick will banish Morgan, but he's definitely not liking Morgan right now.
Yeah, man, I absolutely loved the scene. Just bringing a little recap of the scene. What happened was Rick and Michonne give a talking to Morgan. They question his. He's a danger to the group. They question his morality. They question his philosophy. They say, "Do you think you're going to survive in this world without having blood on your hands?" And I loved that conversation. I loved how Michonne was there too, because that shows you that Rick definitely trusts Michonne, and Michonne is that right hand, kind of man. She is the go-to person when Rick needs advice. And Michonne knows. Michonne knows that Morgan, man, you need to stop. This is going to get people killed. Look what happened with Rick. He almost got killed. And Carol, is Carol becoming a little tattletale? Becoming a little tattletale, right?
Yeah, she has become a little tattletale, but I guess for all good intentions she has. And then I liked how her and Michonne and Rick and Morgan were sitting down in that scene that you were just talking about. It reminded me of back in season 4 in the prison when they had like the little council going on with Herschel and everyone else. So yeah, that definitely brought back
Don't mention Herschel, man. I miss Herschel. I miss Herschel.
Definitely, we always will miss Herschel.
R.I.P. Herschel. But yeah, Mike, totally agree, man. I think that was one of the strong, definitely moments in this episode was that little conversation, because that showcases the tension between Rick and Morgan. Yes, Morgan was the one that saved Rick in the very beginning, but along the way, they just started to grow. They're close, but yet they've grown apart. And Morgan is Rick. Rick doesn't want to do it. Rick probably feels like, Morgan, you're my brother, but I got to keep an eye on you, buddy, because you're not with us here, and that's the problem. And I'm gonna have to do something where it's gonna change, our relationship. Do you feel the same way, Mike?
Oh yeah, definitely. I believe Rick is definitely gonna keep a closer eye on Morgan now, and he has every reason to do that. And I like how you cannot get anything past Carol. Carol was sitting there with Judith, watching Judith on the porch, and she seen Morgan walk out of the Denise's. I don't know if it's her house or where she does her doctor work.
Yeah.
And, she knew something was up right then and there, and I loved how she just goes with her gut instinct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she pulled Morgan out right there.
The development from Carol, man. I mean, we could do a whole podcast of the difference between Carol in the TV series to the Carol in the comic book series. It's crazy. It's a crazy difference. And bravo to the AMC and the TV series for actually really making Carol the wisest and most badass character in the whole cast.
Yeah, you definitely got to applaud the showrunners for developing Carol the way she is. I mean, you can't even compare it to the Carol in the comic books. No way at all. You definitely can't. And she is definitely my second favorite character, right there under Rick, without a doubt. And I never thought I would be saying that in season 2, season 3. I never thought I'd be saying that Carol was one of my favorite characters.
I know. I would have never thought either. But speaking of Morgan, did you feel like at any moment when Denise said, "Let me take a look at your arm," that maybe Morgan was bit? Because for some reason I thought, "Oh shit, Morgan's bit." No, God, I love you, Morgan. Don't do it. Don't do it to me. You let Glenn live, but you're gonna let Morgan die. Did you feel like that way, or was it just me?
That would definitely be a crappy way for Morgan to go out by getting bit and not seeing that on screen. But honestly, when we first seen Morgan go up on the porch and look through the window where Denise was in the house, I knew what he was there for, and it was that wolf. I knew it. And then he went in Denise's place a second time. I knew it was for that wolf, and I was cursing the screen out. I was just like, "Damn you, Morgan! Why are you so stupid?"
Do you think it's So was it a stupid move to bring Denise in? Well, now Carol knows, so I guess it was a stupid move.
And I wish they would have resolved that in this episode because I really want to see what happens. I think you think. What do you think's gonna happen? You think Carol's just gonna bust down that door and run past Morgan and kill that man?
Mike, you should know about Carol, man. She's Judge Dredd. She is the law. She's the law. She's the law. She don't give a who you are. She's busting down that door. She's pushing Morgan aside because you know what? You're lucky you're Rick's friend, and then go after that wolf and kill the shit out of him. There's like Carol. You don't want to mess with Carol. That's why she's underneath Rick, Mike, because you don't want to mess with Carol. Bad move by Morgan to bring Denise involved in this because he just got caught. But I guess he wants to know if the wolf is gonna live or not.
Yeah. Who knows? I think maybe when they get in the little scruffle, something's going to happen to someone. Like that wolf is going to injure either Carol or Denise, and maybe, hopefully, Morgan will finally snap out of his way of life. That all life is precious. He's absolutely right. All life is precious, but when other people are going to be in danger, when you're risking other people's lives for someone who just doesn't want to wake up, it's getting a little played out on Morgan's side.
The question, you have to say like, is this person's life more precious than this person?
Yeah.
That's how you have to look about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Morgan, before we head to what else happened in this episode, just give me your thoughts. Morgan making it out this season. Is he gonna continue next season, or you think he's done for the season? You think he's gonna die this season?
Wow. You just put me on the spot there. That is a really good question. I honestly, it's 50-50.
I feel the same. I feel the same, buddy. I mean, I really do feel that way. I feel like, if I'm a betting man, the way Morgan's character has been in these last couple episodes, the way that this distrust with him and Rick, and just the way his philosophy is, it saved him. But damn, this might be his downfall, man. He might not even make it out of this season, which is kind of disheartening because I really like Morgan. I really want to see him in other seasons, more seasons, but he might bite the dust. You know what? He might get Lucille to the head. I don't know. That might happen too.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking either, like we spoke before, Daryl, Glenn, or Morgan. But the only reason why I don't lean towards Morgan getting that death is because Morgan isn't as close with everyone else in the group. It's really only Rick that he has like that special bond with. So it wouldn't hurt the group as much as it would be Glenn. That's why I really think it's going to be Glenn for some reason. I think they're going to follow the comic books very closely because a lot of people are saying since it was Glenn that died in the comics that it's not going to be the same way in the show. But I really personally think that it's going to be Glenn. But honestly, I really hope Morgan survives this season because, like I told you before, I'm very disappointed with the way they're bringing this character. And I want to see that badass side of Morgan before he goes.
I agree. I definitely agree. And we need to make a bet because I got Daryl and you got Glenn. We'll make a bet. We'll make a bet, buddy. Even though I've been losing my ass off on the bets. I lost with the Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm fight. I lost with the Canelo and Cotto. Damn it, I'm losing all over the place. Even my Raiders. Of course, they lose. But going back, talking more about this episode, the stupidity of Spencer. The stupidity of this guy. This guy should have died in this damn episode. So Spencer he has a freaking, one of those hooks. What is it called? A grappling hook?
Grappling hook.
He has a grappling hook. He thinks he's Batman, and he's trying to go from the wall to another, trying to find a car so he could lead the walkers away from the fence. The stupidity of this character, the stupidity of this guy. He was dumb in the comics. He's even dumber now. What did you think about when you saw this? Were you like, this guy?
I don't like how he just decided to go upon himself and just do that alone. It's kind of selfish that I feel like he just wants all the credit that if he would have succeeded with that, I feel like him not telling anyone about it was being very selfish. Like, at least consult Rick or someone else in Alexandria to help you out. You know, I feel like he's trying to like prove himself, and for what reason I don't know, because he did pretty well when the Wolves first attacked. He helped he prevented the 18-wheeler from going through the gates. So I feel like he's trying to prove himself, and I don't know. He's very stupid. I agree with you 100% on that. It was very stupid what he did. And Rick called him out. And he goes, "Did you ever make a climb like that before?" Which was.
But you know what? He did kind of get him back with a line, though. Remember, he's like, what did he say? He's somewhere around the lines where, like, whoa, what was it?
He said, I think he said, "Would you have let me if I consulted you or something, or you think it's something else?"
Yeah, it was basically like that. And Rick wouldn't have let him. Hell no, he wouldn't have let him. So going from Spencer to Diana, the blueprints. So the blueprints is a big foreshadowing if you're reading the comics. I think it's a big foreshadowing. The blueprints really establish that yes, Alexandria is home, and it really establishes that there is that Rick once a lot of the mess clears and we get rid of the zombie herd and stuff, that there is a future for Alexandria. What do you think about when Diana was presenting the blueprints, Mike?
I love that because the first few episodes before this episode, she didn't have much hope. She was losing hope. She looks like she was actually losing her mind as well, especially after losing Reg last season. I really liked how she handed Rick the blueprints because it seems like now she has more hope and she sees a future in this community, even though she knows what's outside those walls.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Mike. I think that's where it's definitely headed to. I definitely feel agree with you as well with Diane and what she's the hope, because she was a broken woman, and she's still somewhat of a broken woman too, but she's definitely a broken woman. I mean, she lost her son, she lost her husband. I mean, just giving her, and also it's great that they put that in there so they can give her something really to do and really just have Diane really could contribute when she's not the leader anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
So from Diane to foreshadowing, I felt like there's a lot of foreshadowing for Carl. If you read the comics, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but this little kid who's Jesse's son. I don't even know his name. He's a dick though.
His name's Ron.
Ron, yeah, Ron. Ron, don't give this kid a gun. Don't give this kid a gun. Foreshadowing everywhere. Mike, your thoughts on Ron and his gun crazy, just psychotic behavior?
I love that you asked this question. Oh man, I honestly think, I hope you're on the same page with me. Please tell me if I'm reading your mind right now. Carl's losing his eye.
Bada bing, bada boom. That's right. He's losing his damn eye.
Yeah, that's what I think. I thought it was going to happen this episode. I was kind of disappointed it didn't happen this episode.
Oh no. I think it's going to happen next episode, honestly.
Oh yeah, I think that would be a really, really good way to make us just go crazy until February when the show comes back on. Like, oh, is Carl alive? Is Carl going to make it? This, that. I think he's definitely going to lose his eye in this next episode. And I cannot wait to see how they pull this off. I cannot wait. I can't wait to see Rick's reaction. I can't wait to oh man. It's just going to be great when those walkers pile through into Alexandria and so much chaos is going on, and then hopefully Carl loses his eye in the middle of all this. It's just going to be so much chaos and drama in this next episode. I really hope it plays out that way. I'm so looking forward to it.
And you know who's going to blame himself? Rick, because Rick gave Ron the gun and started training him. And just when he said aim for the eye, I was like, come on.
I didn't even catch that. He really said that to Ron?
Yeah, he's like, oh, he had his. I'm a 99.9% sure. He said he grabbed the gun. He told Ron, okay, you got to aim for the eye.
I got to rewatch that scene now. If he really said that, it's definitely going to happen that way.
It's gonna
Wow.
happen, man. It's
Wow.
gonna happen. But you're right. How is it? How are they gonna showcase this? How is it gonna happen? Of course, the panel in the comic was beautifully done. It was graphic. It was just insane. I thought Carl was dead, but in the show, how do you do that? I don't think you really have a close up on that. I think you really have to kind of either far distance or you cut around it. How do you feel like that's gonna happen, Mike?
I don't know how they're gonna pull this off, man. I think it's gonna be really tough. They're gonna have to cut it in so many different ways where it looks like it happens on screen, but there's just so many different cuts. You just assume that it happens. They're not really gonna literally show it happening. They're just gonna cut it in a bunch of different ways. I think that's the only way they can pull it off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting how they do this. And there's a lot of moments that are coming up that's going to be interesting how AMC pulls this off because they can only show so much.
Yeah.
That goes along the lines of Negan being introduced, and of course, this is one of the big ones too. Carl. How do they show Carl losing his eye? Definitely looking forward to it. So, I mean, I think I believe it's going to happen next episode. Mike, do you think it's going to happen next episode?
I think I can't see it happening, and if it's not this one, it's episode 9, which I don't see it making much sense in episode 9. I really feel like if me and you had to put money on it, I think you'd be on the same side as me. It would have to happen in episode 8, right?
Yeah, it has to happen. It has to, and like you said, like going into this hiatus, it's going to be. It definitely is going to be something to think about, and that way to end it. So let's talk about one of the moments you felt. I mean, before we get to the grand finale, the ending of this episode, let's talk about a moment that you took away from this episode. What was the ending that, or what was one of the moments in this episode that you really kind of thought about and you really took home from? Like, what makes it stay in your mind? What moment in this episode, Mike?
I would have to say it's a little bit towards the end when we seen those balloons go in the air. And a mixture of Glenn being like kind of like a father figure to Enid.
Yeah. I'll give you a moment that really stuck with me, man. Really just hit me emotionally and really just got me. That was when I think it was somebody. I think it might have been Carol or no, somebody that Rick was talking to. I can't remember who it was, but they said Judith really looks like Lori.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it.
Oh, I was like, no, don't talk about Lori. I don't need you to bring her into this. No.
And Lori, I'm so happy she's gone, man.
Oh,
To myself when I heard that on the screen, I'm like, oh, I'm surprised she didn't say it looked like Shane.
Oh, that would have been jacked up, huh?
That would have been really bad. Maybe they should do that in the Blu-ray blooper version.
Oh yeah, there's somebody saying, "Oh, you know what? She has Shane's nose." All right. All fun and games. The ending of this episode was probably the most crazy ending you can have in an episode, and that is finally when I saw this, because I knew exactly where this was going. I've been waiting. If people have seen my reviews, I've said something's going to happen in this particular storyline that makes The Walking Dead fantastic, makes it so suspenseful, in your face. And this is the start of those moments, and that is when that building collapsed with the walls. So that means all those walkers are going to be pouring in Alexandria. What did you think about that moment, Mike?
I thought that I seen it coming. I mean, they right in the first couple minutes of the episode, they show the tower cracking, and then I think they hinted at it again either one or two more times throughout the episode. But I like how I like how they showed the balloons, the green balloons in the sky, and Maggie was like, "Oh, that has to be Glenn. That's Glenn." Like, she had her hopes up. There's another sign of hope, and then literally 2 seconds later, the walls just came crashing down on them. So it's never like fully happiness. I think that's symbolism in the show. Oh yeah, Glenn's back, and then the walls literally came crashing down on them. So I think that's even more of a reason for me to believe that Glenn is going to die in this season.
Yeah, Glenn's back, but Glenn don't want to go back. Glenn saw that. He's like, never mind. Maggie, I'll wait for you over here.
I think we're going to get a lot of deaths next episode. I would say at least a handful.
Well, yeah, it has to happen. It has to happen. But the question is, Jesse, is she going to survive this? Is she going to survive this? Ron's dead. Ron's gone. I think he's going. He's going. After he shoots Carl, he's going.
Yeah, I think he's going as well, because how are they going to resolve that afterwards? Like, are they going to kill Ron? Because he's obviously going to – I think he's obviously going to shoot Carl on purpose, right? It's not going to be an accident like it was in the comics with who was it that shot Carl in the comics by accident? Douglas, right? Was it Douglas?
Yeah, it was Douglas. It was Douglas because he was being swarmed.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to play out that way. I think Ron is going to intentionally shoot Carl.
Man, when he grabbed those bullets and he's walking, he's right behind Carl. Like, this dude is a menace, man. He's more menacing than Darth Maul. He wanted to kill Carl.
Oh yeah, that's what it definitely looked like. I could have sworn it was going to happen in this episode.
But yeah, with the tower following, that leads us to a lot of great madness, deaths, you name it. Tell me, Mike, because we read the comic and stuff. Tell me, do you think it's going to be you think they're going to live up to the hype? You think they're going to be able to really do this with justice, with all these walkers entering Alexandria, tearing up a scene? Or do you think they're just going to really drop the ball and not really, just like Glenn, not have the cojones to kill a lot of characters off?
Oh, man. I think they're going to this episode 8, is going to be very action-packed throughout the whole episode. I can't see any moment in this next episode next week being slow-paced at all. I think it's just going to be something's always going to be going on. So much action. And as far as them killing one of the main characters, I don't know. That's a really, really good question. I'm not sure. We obviously know a bunch of Alexandrians are going to be killed. But as far as a main character, I guess you can say Jesse is the closest to, like, I don't believe she's a main character. You can call her a main character, but she might be biting the dust next episode, and I would love to see that personally because I'm not a fan of Jesse at all.
I don't know. Is it something about her? It's just like, I don't really care for you, Jesse. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just like she's you know, it's okay. We can live without you. Yeah, I mean, this is what I've been waiting for. Fans should be very excited for this next episode. They should be very excited for these next couple of episodes because I've heard, I was with my cousins and they don't read the comic book, and so just seeing their reaction and just seeing, even though I know what's probably where they're going to, what they're gonna do. It's crazy seeing them like, oh, so how the hell, asking questions like, how the hell are they going to get out of here? Oh, my God, somebody's going to die. I mean, there's like no way, what are they going to do? How are they going to fight off these walkers? And we know what they're going to do because we read the comics. And I think they will still really take away from that particular point, and they will still have, once Rick sees Carl, he's going to do exactly what he did in the comics. He's going to go crazy.
I'm so looking forward to this, man. I don't think I've been this excited for an episode since the mid-season finale of season 4. I mean, that was the most anticipated episode for me, was when Herschel got his head chopped off by the governor, because I knew it was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, we all knew Herschel can only go so long. So
yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
So Mike, overall, what do you expect? I mean, we already talked about what we're expecting, but we're in mid-season finale mode. Okay, we're mid-season finale mode. We got until when does this come back on? Like,
I think the second week of February.
February, like around Super Bowl time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's gonna come. I mean, it's a long way, and I think we're gonna bet on. I think we're gonna bet on definitely win this bet if because we both believe that Carl is gonna lose the eye next episode. We both believe that they're gonna leave us with a shocking moment, and I think that's when Rick starts going crazy and really starts going at it at these walkers. I think that's where they're gonna leave it off in this in the next episode. Um, but do you feel like this is definitely a great setup? This was a good episode to set things up to things to come.
Oh yeah, now I see where the showrunners were coming from with like the slow paced episodes, because it is, if we're right about this, it is leading up to like perfect timing for this event, which is No Way Out, and I think this next episode is going to be amazing, and it is going to make that February wait feel so much longer than it really is. It's probably going to
Yeah,
feel like a 2 year wait, because I think this cliffhanger in this next episode is going to be phenomenal, and it's just going to want having more.
yeah, most definitely. And then you got to remember that Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham are still outside the walls as well. So it's gonna be interesting how they bring Glenn and all them into this madness and what they do to help.
Yeah, do you think we'll see Abraham and Sasha and Daryl in this next episode? And who was
Oh
sending help on that walkie-talkie?
yeah, we still haven't. You text me that. You asked me who who the hell's on that walkie-talkie. I thought it was Rick, but could it be Jesus?
I can't picture Jesus calling for help for anyone, but it is possible. It definitely is possible.
Yeah, he does. I mean, the person does say help, or could it be like with Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham? Maybe the time is a little bit different. Maybe
Maybe it
with
is.
is it?
No, I'm saying maybe it is Rick, because you were just saying that maybe the time is different. Maybe the time is when in last week's episode when whoever was calling help is happening now.
Yeah, yeah, and we've seen that throughout the season as well, especially the first episode with the flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah. So it
Um,
could be Rick.
go. I didn't hear you, Mike. What was it?
It still could be Rick on that walkie-talkie if you're right about like, because maybe the time is adding up to that.
Yeah, I think it sounds like Rick. It sounds like Rick to me.
Yeah, my first impression last week in episode 6 was I thought it was Rick, but then I was like, wait, it has to be Glenn. Maybe they're just screwing out minds, and
Mhm.
it wasn't Glenn because we would have heard him already.
Yeah, yeah. It was so funny though. Like when we were watching the episodes, like just out through the whole episode, I was like, we all knew Glenn was alive. I was like, but I was just telling him, Glenn should have died. Come on, Glenn. Glenn should have died. And they're just like, yeah. It was just funny seeing all their reaction when they found out that Glenn was alive. I was surprised that they did it right off the bat.
Yeah, right. I thought that would leave that to like the last couple minutes of the episode, because that's what they normally do with stuff like that.
Yeah, but I guess to get to the Glenn and Enid or Anid, whatever her name is, to get to that, I guess to establish that relationship and to establish to establish something there,
Yeah.
maybe moving forward with the story. So, all right, Mike. I mean, do you have any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
Um, I liked it. Again, it's 7.5 for this episode. I think it was pretty well paced. We got a little bit more character development with some people like Rosita and Spencer a little bit, even though he was a little stupid in this episode. But yeah, overall, I like this episode, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode. I think next week's episode is going to be one of the best episodes, in my opinion. I think from what's building up. I really have my hopes set really high for this next episode.
Let's get into Rosita real quick, because we haven't really mentioned that part, especially with the conversation she gives to Eugene. I've seen that, I've heard that conversation before, but it was just, I was glad that finally she has something to do and she's training these people and she's doing something and she's saying something. So, and then of course she's with Eugene, and I want to see more of that. I want to see more Eugene and Rosita.
Yeah, especially because of what's going on in the comics. I really like how they're giving more screen time to Rosita because I feel like since we've met her, she's been like a background character. And as we all know in the comics, she's one of the heavy hitters in the comic book. She is one of the main characters, and I really feel like she deserves more screen time and more development. And I again, I like how they were setting her up in this episode, and I hope they continue to do that. But she
Most
does have a lot of potential.
She does. She does. She has a lot of potential, and they could definitely go a different route with her because she is one of the heavy hitters in the comic books, but she doesn't have a lot to do in there as well, especially towards the later chapters. But hopefully that kind of changes up a little bit in the TV series, and she does a little bit more something different. They do a little bit something different with that character in the TV series.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing what they have in store for her.
Okay, Mike. I mean, that's my thoughts are it was a good setup episode. They had a lot of good things going for it. There was a lot of things, like with Glenn where I was like, I knew this was happening, but come on. The stupidity in some of the characters in this episode, but yet the tension in some of these characters like Rick and Morgan, even with Carol and Morgan, I mean, was great. I thought the pacing it wasn't horrible. It was slow paced in some parts, like you said, but overall, I mean, it still kept my interest. The conversation between Glenn and Enid. What was it? Enid. I said it. You see, I had it right in the very beginning, and then it's just like, boop. But the conversation between those two and just Glenn getting to know this character, I mean, it's interesting, and like I said, I think my theory with that, I think that's where it's leading to. Overall, it was still kind of a okay episode. It definitely, I think it really hit with that ending because we're looking forward to what's to come. So overall, this episode was definitely a win compared to last weekend's episode, compared to the couple of weeks that we've had.
Yeah, because the last couple of weeks were very, very dull in my opinion, and I feel like this episode could have been much better. I just want to see how they're going to resolve the Morgan and Carol and that Wolf situation right when the walls just collapsed. I don't know how they're going to resolve that with all that going on. It's just going to be so crazy.
And that Wolf might break out because of this.
Yeah. Oh man, we haven't seen the last of that Wolf.
No, we haven't. Actually, you know what? Is he gonna turn into a zombie or not?
I don't know, man. I guess we would have found out if he was a zombie already, right? I'm assuming he's still alive.
Yeah, he's I think he's still alive because Morgan's trying to figure out, okay, is this guy for real or not?
Yeah.
So Mike, another great podcast, another great night to talk The Walking Dead. Next podcast, tell the audience what we're going to be doing next podcast, buddy. What are we talking about next podcast?
Hopefully a lot of comic book material. And there's days about that.
Oh, yeah. There's so much to talk about in the comics. I mean, we'll be talking about the past, the present, hell, the future too. I mean, there's just so much to talk about in the comic books.
Oh man, I cannot get enough of this series. If they release a book every single day, a new issue every day, you bet my ass will be at that comic book store every day picking that issue up.
Most definitely. All right, Mike, that is the end of tonight's podcast of Dead Walking Sunday. So I want to thank you, man. I want to thank you for joining me. This is Walking Dead Mike, son. This is Walking Dead Mike. See, man, say your peace outs to the audience right now.
It was amazing, guys. I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. I love it. Love chatting with you, Dan. You're the man.
Woo! All right. And you can find me and Mike on my channel. We got some podcasts going. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing this podcast because we love The Walking Dead. We love talking to The Walking Dead. So go to my channel, hit that subscribe button. It's really easy. All you have to do is hit it and quit it. That's it. Hit that subscribe button, and we're good. Like the video, comment below. Love to hear all you guys' thoughts. So spoiler-free conversation down below. Thank you guys for joining us. Until next time, until me and Mike talk more The Walking Dead. We will see you guys later. You guys have a good night and you guys have a good week. Thank you, Mike. I will see you next time, buddy, where we talk The Walking Dead comic books.
See you soon, brother.
We are out.